In sports, if you want to be the best, there are no off days.
This is the No Off Days podcast. I'm Scott Smith. We got Chris Cato over here.
I'm Chris Cato.
And we don't have Brian yet. We don't have Brian. There's still an APB out on Brian King. If you've seen him wandering the streets, please let us know. He needs to be returned to his owner.
He's probably pushing a lawnmower.
This is probably not. He's probably not ready for lawnmower unless it's a riding lawnmower.
Yeah.
Even at that, I think the surface needs to be quite smooth.
Oh. What happened to Brian? Did he get hit by a bus?
The back. No, it's just, it's one of those things. When you turn 40, there's all of a sudden the body starts falling apart. Yeah. It's something I understand quite well. So I think it's just, one of those things. You just get up there and... Not that Brian's old or anything. We would never say that.
I hope the big guy's okay and comes back soon.
But back by popular demand, I guess.
Yes.
Last week's producer, who was pulling double duty, is there's the back of his head. There he is, the slow turn.
Oh, I like that.
It's kind of like when Chris Collinsworth kind of slides into frame for Sunday Night Football.
That's a gimmick, man. That's something that he perfected.
That's your thing now too.
Yeah.
Well, I feel like.
Look at him. He's directing even now. He was reaching over to give himself some more audio
or something.
Turn
this mic off.
Yeah, there you go. Okay. Yeah. So last week we did our Kentucky Derby draft.
Yeah.
And, you're the big winner, my friend. Sovereignty.
I saw that. I was coming home and I realized, oh, man, the race. And I looked, I said, okay, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you have a good feeling once you saw there was mud on the track that this was going to be your day?
Yeah. Considering, I have a second job and it's not far from mud. So, yeah, so I took that as a sign.
I take that as an offense. Do you feel like directing the NODPOD is like trudging through mud?
No. Okay. I didn't mean this at all. Okay. My second job has nothing to do. My second job has nothing to do with this.
Oh, what is it? Well, we're curious now. Are you working in
how many
garden
jobs do you have?
Or a mud field?
No, I'm a sign holder / spinner.
Oh, well, okay. So outside like one of those tax offices? You're the guy?
No, near a housing development. In Zephyr Hills.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
The things we've learned.
Little side hustle.
Yeah, no, it's actually pretty easy.
Yeah, it is pretty
I'm not
easy.
surprised
You could be replaced with a bucket of sand.
Yes, and considering, I could. And considering my sole responsibility is holding a sign, if the sign goes away, I'm useless. I'm literally useless.
Yeah. So, do you do any dance moves?
Kind of.
How do you lure people in?
I do a lot of spinning. I mean, I do a lot of spinning.
Do you spin it like on your finger like that?
No, I'm not
like
that
a
good.
Basketball?
No, I just, I do that.
Do you ever wave your arms like the inflatable tube guy to get some more attention?
No, I've done the I got a little dignity, fellas. I mean, I've done the air guitar. I've done the.
See, that might draw me in if I saw someone getting into it like that.
How about riding the sign like it's a horse? To celebrate your
doing
win.
the bull dance. Feeling the flow.
I might put that into my repertoire. We'll see.
Yeah. We'll come up with
congratulations, though, on picking sovereignty.
So anyway, the prize was you won yourself a bottle of some vintage bourbon here, my friend.
Thank you.
This is Kentucky made.
I wrapped it just for you. This is from.
You might want to keep it in the brown bag.
This is the Old Forester, Chris.
There it is.
Visited the Old Forester distillery last year, about a year ago, and this is not where I got that bottle.
No,
I drank that one, but this is good stuff. Scott and I chipped in.
You and sovereignty, getting it done. You're a sovereign citizen.
Journalism was coming up strong, though.
Yeah, he was. Mine, you had journalism. All mine finished at near the bottom. But journalism, I think if you had another furlong, you're the winner.
That's all we needed.
Chris, with a K,
yes.
How do we? What are we getting to look forward to on today's program?
Well, today we got some pretty good guests. We got friend of the show, Trevor Sikkema. He's from Pro Football Focus.
Third time?
Yeah, he could be Ring of Honor.
I mean, we make them friends on their second time.
We do.
And then when they're if they come on a third time, then they're candidates for the Ring of
Dignity.
They're in the circle of trust.
Yes, this is true.
And then after that, we have Jon Alhart from the V Foundation. Dicky V has his charity night. He's very big into cancer research, and he's going to be talking about how big of an impact that night had on raising money for children's cancer research.
Yeah, the Dicky V Gala down in Sarasota at the Ritz-Carlton every year.
Yeah.
I try to go down there for it every year, and we missed out this year. So I think John's going to give us the scoop, and I believe he's a diaper dandy as well. So, all right, at the end of the show, Chris,
we have it's not mine, but it's a classic. It's Brian's Randomizer.
BK's Randomizer.
Yeah, BK's Randomizer.
He gave you the keys to it? I'm shocked.
He did. Yeah, he's like, well...
Does he keep that in his locker? You found the keys?
It's in the trunk of his car.
Okay.
You know, he called me out in the parking garage and said, "Here, take it.
Oh.
You need this."
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you handed him a bag of cash.
Filled it up with diesel.
Yes.
Okay.
Very good.
I love the
right.
randomizer.
We'll catch up with you at the end of the program.
See ya.
Thank you, Chris. All right, if you're listening and you want to watch, go to fox13news.com/NODPOD. If you're watching and want to listen or subscribe, take out your phone. You can zap the QR code on the screen. It'll send you to all of our shows. We invite you to follow the podcast, digital form, get it early each week, and give us a 5-star while you're at it. Good. fox13news.com/NODPOD. So speaking of that Kentucky Derby, I mean, they had like record-setting viewership in this one. So a lot of anticipation. I'm not sure why this year stuck out, but I think since like the late 1980s, the viewership ratings were that high. So a lot of people were interested. They wanted to see if their horse would cross that finish line. But, you know, it's one of those things. The Derby is one of those events that I always have wanted to attend. I had been to Churchill Downs. I went a couple years ago. It was not during a race, but got to do the tour, got to see, you know, go down by the rail, so see it up close, see the twin spires.
Pretty cool. I did that one last year too.
Yeah. It's a cool place. They have a really neat museum there that you can watch this video, and it's like this 360. Kind of reminds me of the inside of the Mercedes-Benz Stadium in Atlanta, where you got like this 360 screen, and you watch like all these past historic races, and so a lot of great history stored up there. But to be there for an event seems like a bucket list item that I want to do.
Yeah.
Is it on yours?
I would love to. The weather was awful on Saturday, so I feel like it might, you know, the year I go, it might be a torrential downpour like that, but that's okay. I'll run in the muck with them. Yeah, I'd love to do that one. I'd love to do that in the
Your mother was a mutter.
Mutter was a mutter. She loved to slop. I'd love to do the Masters too.
Yeah.
I mean, have you been to a practice round or anything?
I've never been to Augusta
I
National.
think those, because I was thinking of these events, right, and I've done big football games and some playoff baseball, nothing really huge, but I just feel like the Masters is one of those things. Obviously, it looks wonderful on TV, but just to be there, soak in that history, see these competitors up close, I think that's probably at the top of my list.
Yeah, I'm with you. The Masters is probably my number one thing that I'd love to see, an actual round. I mean, just to be on the premises, I think would be amazing. Like, I've had friends that have gone to practice rounds. I've had friends that have gone to the actual rounds, but I mean, especially, man, if you got ticket to a Sunday at the Masters, that would be incredible. But, like, I'd love to just experience it, have the cheap food, you know, and just walk the course and see what the slopes are like. Yeah, Kentucky Derby, I don't know. It seems like a thing I would like to do, but I probably would not enjoy it. Right. You know, like, I would still do it, but I don't, because it's just so jam-packed with people.
It's so packed.
Like, and dressing up is not my thing. So
$22 for a mint julep.
Yeah. Wimbledon would be a cool bucket list item. I'm not like a huge tennis fan, but I mean, it's such a classic venue. The All England Club would be great. The Indy 500, and maybe because it's on Fox, it's kind of a bucket list item. I would love to cover that.
I'd love to do a Final Four.
A Final Four would be fun.
I'd love the Final Four. Yeah.
It just depends, because it seems like you're set so far back, because it's held in like these football stadiums that, like, how good are your seats? You know,
usually
it's not as intimate as a normal NBA arena. You know, Cooperstown would be amazing. I'd love to see of all the Hall of Fames to go visit. You know, obviously, Baseball Hall of Fame would be the best. Notre Dame Stadium, where you know, so much college football history has been played. Not to mention the movie Rudy, and I would love to go to Notre Dame
the play
Stadium.
like a champion sign. Yeah.
I don't. This is probably on nobody else's bucket list, and I'm serious about this. I want to see that. So they have the Coopers Hill cheese rolling tournament.
Yes,
that happens. It's in Gloucester, England, every year. And in my younger days, I wanted to actually compete in it, but my ankles won't hold up. Like I said, plus 40, it ain't happening.
That looks, I don't know. Those guys are running downhill, right? And the cheese,
it's like super steep.
It looks very
Everybody's
dangerous.
like breaking bones.
Yeah.
So, and just taking massive headers, and it's a violent sport. But I watched some documentary on it, and I'm like, that's intriguing. There's a lot of history. People get up for it, and it would just be a fun thing, I think, to watch.
What does the winner get? The cheese that you're chasing?
I think you get the wheel of cheese, but I think you get a cash prize too.
You should.
I would think so.
For risking your broken bones.
It's a lot of cheese too.
It is a lot.
You get more than cheese in more ways than one.
Yeah.
All right. Speaking of classic football venues. One Michigan Stadium there. Yeah, your friends down there, the Wolverines. The Connor Stallion saga just continues to play itself out, and now Sharon Moore, the head coach of the Wolverines, he has given himself a 2-game. So it's a self-imposed 2-game suspension. For his role in the Connor Stallions deal. And apparently, I guess the big connection to Moore is that he deleted like this long text thread that was that kind of implicated him in matters. So I'm not here to litigate that, whether it's right or wrong. I don't know if anybody says it's right, but I think there's people that don't think it's a big deal and people that think it's the worst thing, Right. I'm not interested in that as much. It's the self-imposed bans, the suspensions that I'm hung up on. Like, why? To me, it's like not only am I going to break your rules, but then I'm going to also disregard your punishment because I'm going to come up with my own punishment.
Yeah.
So it's like you're taking the power away from whatever institution, should be in the NCAA or the Committee of Infractions that is supposed to litigate this or weigh in on this and give them. But you're saying, that's okay. I'll take it from here. Yeah. I'll give myself a 2-game suspension. Yeah. It just doesn't sit well.
It's like if you're the kid and you do something bad you shouldn't do, and you tell mom, you know what, Mom, here's my punishment. I've got to clean my room.
Yeah,
I'll do that.
Yeah. And if I'm a parent, I'm like, oh, yeah. And that's where you're going to start.
Right.
But then you're going to do this and that. Like, I almost want to make the punishment worse because now it feels like, I have to exert my authority in some fashion.
It would be funny if the NCAA's Committee on Infractions, which decides the ultimate punishment, did, throw that back in their face and say, you know what, you think 2 games? No, you're going to do 5. And we're going to pick the games because that's part of it too, right? Is that Sharon Moore has picked which games he will miss. And one of them is game 2 or Central Michigan.
Games 3 and 4 of the
Central
season.
Michigan.
So he's going to, the home opener is against New Mexico. So got to be there for the season kickoff, right?
Yes.
And then week 2, it's Oklahoma. And guess who went to Oklahoma?
That's his alma mater.
His alma mater. So he wants to coach in that game. So it's like, I'll miss the Central Michigan game. I guess if I have to, and then Nebraska, which is your big Big 12 opener.
Your Big 10
so
opener.
That's Big 10 opener. Yeah. But if I'm Nebraska, I'm a little offended by that.
Yeah, and Matt Rule's got all the motivational matter he needs now, right?
Michigan tried this before.
Harbaugh did this.
Yeah,
right?
they did a self-imposed, and I think they added to it. Right, that was just the starting point. But why would you even? Why wouldn't you just let the process play out? I guess you're being proactive, and that's a good thing. So maybe it shows that the institution has more institutional control. Yeah. But I don't know. Do you think that there is a benefit that I'm not seeing?
I think there's a benefit to Michigan if the Committee on Infractions will check off on this, certainly, because you're getting to pick the games that he serves this suspension. They did the same thing with Harbaugh. And, many institutions, many schools have done this before when facing an infractions. They usually do try to get out ahead of it and show, I guess, some type of remorse for whatever the wrongdoing was. I just feel like, the NCAA doesn't have many legs now as it is anyway, and this is just one more kicking sand in their face to say we're going to punish ourselves for 2 games and we're picking the games. I almost wish the Committee on Infractions would say no, that's not how it works. I don't know. It seems like you can't let the school look like it holds all the cards, or what's the point in any of this?
I guess nothing describes college football better than that whole scenario right now. You know what I mean? The fact that there are even any infractions is kind of shocking at this point, right?
Yeah, so, who knows? They can still go away. And it's the great mess that Jim Harbaugh left to go to the NFL.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. Coming up on the other side, everybody has draft grades. But we have a trusted source here on the NODPOD. Yes. Trevor Sikkema from Pro Football Focus is our guest next on the NODPOD as we dive into some NFL draft recap. What does he think about the Shedeur Sanders quarterback situation in Cleveland? We'll get into that as well.
To find out.
Stay with us. Welcome back to the No Off Days podcast. So this week, Chris, we got NFL rookie camps are opening up here in town. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers, they're going to have their rookies in town. So get out there on the field, kind of see what they can do. I think everybody has an opinion on what these guys can do on the field, right? I mean, we know that the mock draft business, the draft forecasting business is big. But then, I like that they come back and they say, hey, we're going to give them grades now too. So we're going to get you on the front end. We're going to get you on the back end. Yeah. And we have our own draft guru that has joined us here at Time or Few on this program. And nobody, in my opinion, nobody knows or prepares for the draft better than this guy. And he is a Tampa Bay native. Trevor Sikkema from Pro Football Focus. He is the co-host of the NFL Stock Exchange. Check him out. Get a lot of great insight from him, plus his post-draft analysis. And we're going to dive into our interview with Trevor right now. So now that the 2025 draft is put to bed, you're already grinding away at 26?
Not quite yet. I've watched a couple of prospects, but I'm not fully in on it yet.
Yeah. When we see these draft grades that come out afterward, I know that a lot of thought goes into it, but usually, and I haven't checked out all of your draft grades, although I took a peek at some of them, it seems like everybody's passing, right? Grades that I would have been happy to have received in high school, even the worst, right? Anybody that just totally flunked the test, is there who had the worst draft class in your opinion in 2025?
The team that received the lowest draft grade for me was the San Francisco 49ers. And John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan, I think, have a theme here of they just march to the beat of their own drum. And that's going to go against consensus. It's going to go against a lot of rankings that you see out there. But specifically, you look at the very top, Mykel Williams. They draft him at number 11. I have him ranked 38th overall in this class. And he's a great run defender, but I'm not so sure he's ever going to be the pass rusher that you want him to be to take him at number 11 overall. I like Alfred Collins right after that, but then you have the real reason why we're taking this down a bunch is Nick Martin and Upton Stout there in the 3rd round. I think you could have got both those players in the 5th, at the very least in the 4th. And they had 2 4th-round picks as well. So I just think those guys, they're size outliers. I mean, both of those guys are 10th percentile or below in height and weight and length for the position. You're just betting on major outliers there in the 3rd round, which I never like doing. Jordan Watkins, I felt like would have been a 6th, 7th rounder. They draft him in the 4th round. And then Jordan James, the running back from Oregon, like I like Jordan James, but to that point, you had not drafted a single offensive lineman yet. Offensive line should have been in consideration for you at number 11. So I didn't really love the lack of offensive line approach for them. There were a couple of players that were just way overdrafted compared to where I had him on the big board. And so, hey, Kyle Shanahan's one of the best coaches in the NFL, so maybe he'll just make it work. But in terms of the draft day grades, that was not my favorite.
Are there certain GMs that make you think twice about their grade because of maybe I think of like Detroit, right? Like they last year, like everybody hated their class, but yet it seems like they kind of know what they're doing, or they're getting guys that fit their scheme. And are there certain GMs where you're like, I would normally grade them low, but I'm giving them the benefit of the doubt because of what they've done in the past?
Yeah, I mean, there are some like that. I think that San Francisco is one where I feel like that's the case all the time, but I have so much respect for what Kyle Shanahan is as a head coach. I think that in the past, the Rams have sort of been the same way. Like I've been wondering, like, okay, Les Snead and Sean McVay, are they really doing the right thing here? But again, that's such a great duo. They've won a Super Bowl here recently in this era. Again, Sean McVay, one of the best coaches out there. I think the Packers are a little bit like that. Like the Packers have had so many thresholds and the way they go about things that it's led to some, I think, some reaches on some players over the last couple of years, and just trying to abide by their thresholds that they have in height and weight and athleticism. And it's led to some guys being reaches, in my opinion. But I think Matt LaFleur is one of the best coaches in the NFL. And so it's almost like you give them the benefit of the doubt there. But general managers like, Howie Roseman, Jason Light's on this list as well, Brett Veach for the Kansas City Chiefs. I mean, like these guys are just the gold standard, in my opinion, of how you are building a team. And so I feel like I rarely give these guys bad draft grades at all anyways, but even when they make some picks that I go, that's interesting, I'm much more lenient to just go, you know what, I'm going to trust him here. Those are some of the names that I give a little bit of faith to.
Have you warmed to or did you instantly love the Ibuka pick by Light?
I tell people this. I gave the Bucs a B+ draft grade, and to be honest with you, that's probably the lowest that anybody could give it. Like, you can't really get worse than a B+. I saw some people give it an A, and it's like, hey, you know what? I can understand giving them to A because it was an excellent draft class. I love all the players that they brought in. it just wasn't the draft that I thought they were going to have. And the longer I've been able to sit here and really think about it, the more I do like it. I probably would have changed this to at very least an A- for them. But the Igbokwe pick, I did not see that coming from a million miles away. There were a couple of draft analysts, big draft analysts, notable draft analysts who had the Buccaneers, maybe going like Tetron McMillan if he fell, maybe Matthew Golden if he fell. But I was like, man, they're not going to draft a wide receiver. Mike Evans looked great last year. Chris Godwin, obviously they gave the money to in free agency. Jalen McMillan looked pretty good as a wide receiver 3. They've got Sterling Shepard. Like, they have Trey Palmer as the wide receiver 5. Like, I was like, they're good. And then they drafted Igbokwe at 19 because they think that this is just too good of a player and a person to pass up on. So I love Igbokwe the player. And it was very much mixed results for me, or mixed emotions, I should say, when the pick was phoned in, because they had guys like, I thought Donovan Izaraku was the pick for them. I really did. The pass rusher from Boston College. And they passed up on him there at 19, and they ended up going with a wide receiver. And maybe it is the best long-term outlook for this team, but clearly here on draft night, they just thought that, again, too good of a player and a person to pass up. And I got to give Jason Licht the benefit of the doubt because of how good he has drafted really over the past 5-6 years.
Yeah, and to your point, it seems like the person almost carries as much weight, which feels different, right? Like, I think certain GMs are going to evaluate talent different ways, but they put a high premium on making sure the right guy, the right dude is in that locker room. I mean, you're a Bucs fan. Do you love that strategy? How beneficial do you think that has been for this team to be able to string together all these wins, and maybe character is a big part of that?
Well, when it works out for you,
yeah,
it's excellent. It's ideal. It's what every single team builder would want to do. Now, I think that there are times when, and there are a lot of things that go into this, like impatience from the ownership or the fan base, right? Like, a lot of GMs just don't really have this time. I think that every general manager would tell you the same thing. We want to get great players. We want to get great people. People are going to be a part of our culture, like all that kinds of stuff. They all say the same things. But then, year 1, all right, maybe you did okay as the team. Year 2, maybe it's a little bit of a step back. Now all of a sudden you're kind of on the hot seat year 3. And now you got to reach for talent because your team's not as talented as you once thought. Maybe you swung and missed on a couple of early bets that you made in your first or second year. And now you're overlooking a lot of stuff because you're just trying to get more talented because you got to win games to save your job. I think having the job security that Jason Licht has built up allows him to do things like this. And now you get in a situation where so many people want to come to Tampa. So many free agents and coaches, and it's just the total culture that they have built in Tampa Bay is one that is long lasting. It's not something that is just going to fizzle out. And there's a reason why throughout the chaos with the Panthers and the Falcons and the Saints and their turmoil over the last 3 to 4 years, that the Bucs have just sat there at the top of the division. And they haven't been one of the juggernauts in the NFL in doing so. It's not like it was no brainer, no question about it, running away with the NFC South. But it's the fact that they have got the right people in the building, and they're able to finish every single season where they need to hang another division banner. And so, yeah, I think it's an important part of scouting. It's an important part of team building. Not every general manager has that luxury of being able to do that, but Jason Licht certainly does, and he has earned that. And because of that, you just continue to see great drafts in Tampa Bay.
Everybody wants value picks, and I guess when it comes to this last year, Shedeur is got to be the guy that seems to be the best bang for your buck. But what is that quarterback room going to look like in Cleveland? And how would you say that thing sorts itself out?
Yeah, I think that Flacco's probably, it's an interesting question, I should say, because I think Flacco is the incumbent QB1, right? I mean, I think that he is the guy who's probably going to be QB1 no matter what, because one, he's not a rookie, and somebody has to take first team reps in training camp to get things kicked off. And you don't want it to be a rookie because they're learning things for the first time on their own anyway. So just because of his pedigree, I think that Flacco probably starts the season as QB1 for them. But it's very interesting because they have a 4-man deep quarterback room and quarterback competition. There are not enough reps to go around in training camp and preseason. You have to pick. These guys will not be able to get an equal amount of reps. It's not going to be a fair shakedown of a competition. Flacco's going to have to get the first team reps. And then you're basically, I think Kenny Pickett's probably going to start as the depth chart QB2. But I was talking with somebody the other day. all it's going to take is one good day of practice from either Dillon Gabriel or Shedeur Sanders for them to pop them up and get those second team reps as QB2. And so ultimately, I think we go into the season with Flacco as their QB1. I think Shedeur is the backup and the QB2 for this team. Honestly, though, I would not be surprised if Shedeur starts the most games out of any of those four, because we saw what Flacco was like over the last couple of years. He's not the Joe Flacco that was winning Super Bowl with the Ravens. I don't think that Kenny Pickett is that guy either. So whether it goes from Flacco to Pickett or Flacco to Sanders, I think it will eventually get down to Shedeur starting more than 8 games for this team, because I just don't think those veterans have what Cleveland is looking for.
If they draft Gabriel before him, though, it kind of makes it seem like the guys in the room, the coaches, like Gabriel more, and maybe Shedeur has something to prove. Do you feel like everybody in that room is on board with Shedeur and that selection?
No, actually, I don't. I really do wonder if this was the ownership calling them on draft night and was like, hey, you better pick him, because I was trying to tell people, like, I had Dillon Gabriel ranked so much further down my board than I had Shedeur Sanders. So for them to take Gabriel at 94 and then Shedeur at 144, 50 spots later, 2 rounds later, tells me that they made their choice at quarterback. And in fact, they even had a pick in between those guys. They picked a second running back in Dylan Sampson. So you can't sit here and tell me like, oh yeah, I mean, we believe in Shedeur, what an incredible talent. If you believe that, one, you probably would have taken him with one of your top 2 picks at the beginning of the second round at 33 and 36, or you would have probably taken him, if not that, in the 3rd round where you took Dillon Gabriel, or at the very least, you would have taken him where you took Dylan Sampson. But none of those things happened. So I don't believe them when they tell me that, oh yeah, I mean, like, we love Shedeur. Shedeur is great. We believe in Shedeur. No, you don't. You didn't draft as if you did. So again, I agree. You got to throw Dillon Gabriel's name in there. I'm not the biggest believer in Dillon Gabriel when it comes to his NFL career. I think he could be a backup for a long, long time and maybe a spot starter for you for a couple of games if your starting quarterback gets hurt. But I just don't think he has the NFL tools. I don't think he has the NFL arm talent. I think you're always going to be looking to upgrade from him. And if you're just starting new after Deshaun Watson, that's not really the quarterback that I would want to invest in. And so eventually I do think that Shedeur ends up passing Dillon Gabriel on that depth chart. But it might be an uphill climb given the fact that they drafted him 50 selections before they drafted Shedeur.
Well, Trevor, I always appreciate your insights. Thanks for jumping on with us. I know you got to get back to the 2026 draft. Your mocks, we're ready for them. Come on, baby.
We'll get there eventually. We will. Give me a couple of weeks and we'll dig into summer scouting. But I appreciate you having me, Scott, as always.
We'll see you, Trevor. Take care.
Insightful as always. Love his opinion. Packs a lot of information into a fairly short interview. All right, coming up on the other side, the Dicky V Gala was last week, and it always has like the biggest names in sports. They all come out to support Dicky, but they do some great things. They're connected with the V Foundation, Jim Valvano, and we are going to have somebody that's representing that organization that does such great work. Jon Alhart is our guest on the NODPOD next. Welcome back to the NODPOD. You know, every year, Chris, I make that drive down to Sarasota and pull into the Ritz-Carlton. Feel like I'm underdressed and underprepared, but I'm going to hang out with a lot of people that I watch on TV a lot, and that is because it's the Dicky V Gala every year. Very fancy. They do it at the Ritz-Carlton. This year, unfortunately, I just didn't get a chance to go. And so we're going to make up for it a little bit because we need to catch up with somebody that was there, boots on the ground, to find the kind of impact that night has in particular. Up next, our next guest on the NODPOD, Jon Alhart from the V Foundation joins us.
I'm sad to have missed the Dicky V Gala. It seems like all the big names are there each and every year, and I know that they show up in part because of the love they have for Dick Vitale, but it's also the cause that's behind it. Tell me about, well, I guess what I missed in the big Dicky V Gala down in Sarasota.
Yeah, it was a big night with the 20th annual Dick Vitale Gala. As you know, always a star-studded event. And this year, we were pleased to announce $12.5 million raised. And now, throughout the duration of the gala so far to date, over $105 million raised for the V Foundation's Dick Vitale Pediatric Cancer Research Fund, which truly is amazing, speaks to Dick's relentless commitment to helping these all courageous kids, to supporting the best in cancer research, to honor his good friend Jim Valvano, and it really is always a special night, mostly because of Dick and those kids, and then obviously the cause and where the money's going.
Yeah, I got to think in terms of like money raised, you probably have certain tentpole events, but from an annual fundraising standpoint, how does the gala measure up each and every year?
It really is one of our top events each and every year. And what we're really proud of at the V Foundation too is that 100% of the proceeds go right to research. So we have an endowment that covers additional expenses. So when you give to the V Foundation, 100% of your donations going right to the cause, right to the research. Proud to date to have funded 241 grants in the pediatric cancer research space, nearly 92 million. Obviously now with this year's fundraising, we'll be going over 100 million in money granted. So truly is a special night. V Foundation is a special organization, and the fact that 100% goes right to the cause, and that we support only the best of the best in cancer research, which, as you know, with Dicky V, that's what he wants. He only wants to be the best and support the best.
Well, and for a guy that has gone through his own battle here in recent years, and I know that Dicky was deemed cancer-free earlier this year, and that's amazing. But when you see his passion, it almost feels infectious, I feel like, to everybody else that's around him, because I don't think he slowed down at all during his own struggles.
He really hasn't. And, Dan Hurley, the UConn head coach, during his speech mentioned just that. He's like, I feel like when I'm hearing from Dick and I'm getting all these texts and the updates, I'm hearing from one of my players, a 20-year-old kid. He has that unbelievable energy, unbelievable commitment. If you drop a name of an all courageous kid, he will give you their story, front, center, back, the whole thing, easily. He knows and really cares about each and every person in that room, and for the mission. His energy is unbelievable, and it doesn't surprise me that he's beat cancer 4 times, because he does live into Jim's mantra of don't give up, don't ever give up.
And I know that these days he does try to save his voice a little bit, and it sounds like he's going to be using it a little bit more, because I heard a major announcement was made in terms of his own contract at ESPN during the gala. Is that right?
Yeah, that was a fun moment. Yeah, not bad, right? To get a 2-year contract extension during your own gala. So Jimmy Pitaro from ESPN made that announcement, and I think everyone who saw Dick on the air this year during the games loved that he was back on. He still knows college basketball as good as anyone, and he brings it each and every time he's on the air. And he's changed the sport. And so for him to be able to still be involved in the sport and to keep going, we're all thrilled about that.
Jon, I appreciate your time. I feel like I got to experience a little bit through your recapping of the event, but next year we'll be back at it. But how can people learn more about the V Foundation, how they can lock arms with you guys and contribute to the cause?
Yeah, no, I appreciate that, Scott. The best place to go, v.org/Vital. So v.org/Vital. You'll learn all about the Dick Vitale Pediatric Cancer Research Fund. You'll learn all about the gala. And next year, it's going to be even better, more great honorees, including Jamie Valvano, who will be 20 years cancer-free in August. She is Jim's daughter. When he said cancer research may not save my life, it may save someone I love, she is the someone he loved, and she'll be sharing her story next year.
Jon, we appreciate your time. Thanks for telling our viewers a little bit about what the great work you guys have been doing over the years. Appreciate that.
Thank you, Scott. Yeah, appreciate it as well, and look forward to seeing you next year.
I'll be there, man.
All right, good stuff. Coming up next, it is the randomizer. Time to dust it off.
When are we going to open this thing?
we gotta bring this inside to Chris. He's going to need it for this next segment. The randomizer is up next. Welcome back to the No Off Days podcast. Chris, during the break, I walked into our control room and I handed the winning bottle of
bourbon?
Old Forester to Chris. He immediately cracked it and started swigging it.
Started guzzling?
Will he get in trouble for that?
Is he going to be okay to do the randomizer?
I don't know. Let's bring him in. Let's check in. Oh, look at him.
Oh,
yes. He looks a little. He got a little flop sweat working.
Thanks.
Did you get him? Is that a single batch there?
Yeah, it's a little single batch.
Yeah.
Now this will come in handy.
All right, we're gonna fire this thing up, and again, it's the randomizer. 3,000, I believe.
3,000.
Again, voice automated. So we'll say start and we'll say stop, and then there's I believe Brian said there's like 300 and some odd thousand questions.
Yeah, we have not even scratched the surface of the questions that we've seen come out of this thing.
The depth. So the chances of us ever getting a repeat question, very, very minimal.
Very rare.
All right. So with that, Chris, you get the honors.
Okay.
Well, no, the other Chris. Sorry.
Okay. Sorry.
I'm sorry, that's confusing. Me,
you get to weigh in, Chris, with a K.
Gotcha.
Absolutely. But
right. All right, let's fire it up. I haven't done this in a while.
It only
rusty.
knows our voices. That's the problem.
That's it. Yes, it is tuned to hear our voices. Here we go, and start the spinning of the wheel and stop.
Okay.
Pancakes or waffles?
Pancakes or waffles?
I love having that choice. What a great choice to have.
That's a great way to start
I wish I had
your morning,
that choice
isn't
every
it?
morning. Pancakes or waffles, honey?
Mr. Cato.
Yes, over easy. I go pancakes. I mean, I love waffles, love them both, but pancakes I feel like you can do more with. Went to L.A. a couple years ago to this place called the Griddle Cafe. It has these world-famous had this red velvet
I like the
pancake.
word griddle.
Yeah, I do too.
Yeah.
Anyway, pancakes for me.
Okay.
What about you?
So red velvet pancakes? Is that what?
That's what I had there at
I
Griddle
thought you were
Cafe.
going into more.
Point is, they're versatile. You know, you can do a lot with them.
Easier,
definitely.
I'm going pancakes. Not even really that close. Waffles. The problem with waffles to me, it comes down to butter distribution, right?
Yeah.
Like I can't. All those squares, I like my butter evenly applied, and it just takes way too much time and effort, and I don't want to get a big glob of butter stuck into one of the cubes.
But boy, when you get that cube, that's a good tasting cube.
But I'm going pancakes because very versatile and chocolate chips. I like chocolate chips. Chocolate chip pancakes.
Chris, pancakes?
I've always been a waffle guy.
Yeah,
I've always been a waffle guy.
I pictured that.
Yeah.
You got one of those batter machines in your house, don't you? You like to pour your own little cup of batter in the morning?
It's more microwave. It's more microwave actually.
You make waffles in the microwave,
or toaster. Yeah, but we actually now I think about it, I think we do have one. It's rarely used. I don't know why.
Precisely. Yeah, that's the point.
Yeah, it's probably hard to clean.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Nobody's cleaning that thing. No. All right. Let's fire it up. Start and stop. All right.
What's the worst movie you've ever seen?
Worst movie. Well, so I'm not. Let me preface by saying I'm not a big movie guy. This has been well established on this podcast. A lot of movies I have not seen that most people have seen. So my library is going to be very shallow.
Yeah. You've never seen Scarface, have you?
I have seen Scarface.
Oh, that's one of the ones you've seen. Okay.
I did see that. Yeah. I couldn't tell you a thing about it. Say hello to my dear friend.
That's all you need to know.
But I think the worst movie, and this is going to be, I'm not trying to make this a hot take, but Top Gun.
Oh.
Again, granted, I picked up on this much later in life, right? So there was a sweet spot to probably watch that movie, and it was probably in the late 80s or 90s, whenever it came out. And I watched it much later after being, shamed into having not seen it. God bless you. And so when I watched it, I couldn't even make it through. I turned it off. I think it was right around the beach volleyball scene. I was like, okay.
Oh man, that's one of the best parts.
I've seen about enough. It was so unbelievably corny that I just couldn't bring myself to finish it. So yeah, I don't know. I mean, there's probably a bunch. Like Adam Sandler had a nice run of really bad movies. I think he did like Billy Madison, Happy Gilmore, and then I think the rest were pretty awful probably. And then Dumb and Dumber. Remember that one?
Yeah, Dumb and Dumber.
Yeah, the one that didn't have Jim Carrey.
That was really bad.
The guy that made a movie funny.
Yeah,
that was bad. So that's my list.
Mine is the first thing that comes to mind. This movie was so bad, and I actually paid. I couldn't believe I paid money, went to a theater, took a date, and it was White Chicks. Remember that one? Marlon Wayans and Shawn Wayans. It's awful. Absolutely.
I think on its face, you should have known better than to take
I should have.
Well,
in my defense, I went with my uncle and aunt, and they really liked those.
Wait, they were your dates?
No, I took a date, and we went double date, okay?
Oh.
And they...
Well, that's another bad move. Who brings on a date your aunt and your uncle?
Well,
that's just...
Well, you haven't met my aunt and uncle. They're really cool.
No.
They're great people, except sometimes their choice in movies is questionable. But no, it was really bad. That's the first movie I think I ever wanted to walk out of.
Yeah.
And I may have.
Sounds bad. I don't think I've seen it, but I'm familiar with the actors. Yeah. Yeah, I remember a date I went on, and my mom was there. And, no, I'm just kidding. That never happened. All right. Let's fire it up. What you got?
Wait, I didn't give you mine.
Oh, yeah.
Give us yours.
I've never seen White Chicks, but the worst movie I have ever seen has got to be Freddy Got Fingered.
I'm sorry?
Freddy Got Fingered. It was with
is that Tom Green?
That's Tom Green.
Okay.
It was. I couldn't even watch the whole thing. It was just absolutely horrible. It wasn't funny. There was nothing about it redeeming at all.
Yeah, I do think comedies of that nature are the ones most likely to.
Was it like his old show where he just did these pranks on people?
No, it was like Rip Torn was in it. He was trying to please his dad. It wasn't funny.
Okay.
It just was a horrible movie.
It's hard. Comedy movies they're not easy.
They're not.
Know?
They can't all be Meet the Fockers or Old School.
Yeah,
you know, some of those.
You need really good writers or somebody that just steals it, that just makes like a Chris Farley. I bet you put any Chris Farley movie out there, it's probably not funny, like if it's anybody else, but he just kind of makes the movie funny. All right, is it your turn?
Let me go on. Let me get a spin here. Start and stop.
What's your favorite smell?
No.
Go ahead and tell everybody.
Well, that bourbon that you have back there, that smells pretty nice.
Yeah.
Probably it's either one of these two things. It's either a steak on the grill, you know. Smell of fresh, or it's the Cinnabon, the whiff of the Cinnabon as you walk through the airport or the mall. I'm going Cinnabon.
Cinnabon, that's a good one.
That's a good smell.
Oh man, yeah. That would just it would drive me crazy with how hungry it would make me.
It does.
It's like I need to actually eat a Cinnabon if I'm smelling that smell. Mine would be, I'm more nature guy, pine trees. Pine trees, probably my favorite smell. Also, I lived in Phoenix, and every year they have orange blossoms.
Oh.
And it's quite delightful. But I'm telling you, like the whole city is just like this, has this sweet smell to it. Otherwise, it smells awful, but like that time of the year, the orange blossoms, incredible.
You made me think of a smell that's up there with Cinnabon, and that's honeysuckle.
Honeysuckle
smells great.
Yep, absolutely.
What about your old sniffer in there, Chris?
I was going to say oranges, but now I don't want to have the same thing as Scott.
Well, mine is orange blossoms. It smells different than oranges. So.
Well, it's similar. It's similar sounding. Anyway,
early stage.
I'm going to say the beach. Like when you go out to the beach and you smell the water. That's pretty. I've always liked that smell.
Okay.
Yeah.
Depends though. Sometimes red tide.
If you get red tide, or if there's a giant bloated whale carcass down the shore.
I've never had the Seinfeld experience where I'm on the beach and I'm a whale biologist. I've never had that experience.
You shouldn't have hit the golf ball.
Titleist.
Right. Well, that wasn't. I didn't do that.
Oh. Okay.
Another good smell. Pipe tobacco.
That's a good smell.
Yeah, that's a good smell.
Yeah.
But probably no other kind of smoke.
Our olfactories just went down memory lane.
Yeah. All right. Let's start and let's stop.
Okay. When you were a kid, where did you go on vacation?
Well, I had a very deprived childhood.
You always love bringing up your deprived childhood.
Yeah. No, I didn't. We didn't go on vacation. We didn't. I grew up in California. Every trip, I kid you not, every single trip we drove up to Oregon to visit my grandma.
That was
it.
Vacation.
So that was like all our family vacations. So it's not exciting, I mean, it was great to see cousins and all that kind of stuff, but that's not a fun trip. I will say that I did go. I tagged along with a friend.
You got in
and
with
their family.
Okay, you got in with a rich family then. Okay.
They weren't rich. No, it wasn't a rich thing. It was just they went to Disneyland and I tagged along. So I went with them. And the reason I don't remember anything about Disneyland. I mean, we went on the Matterhorn. I do remember that. I remember sleeping in this hotel room, and the dad of my friend. He probably doesn't mind me telling the story, but I don't know him anymore. The dad wore a toupee, like a wig.
Yeah.
And I remember waking up, hearing in the middle of the night,
He's ripping his hair off?
Yeah, and I opened my eyes up. He had Velcro on his bald head, Velcro strips, and I was like, ah! So that was like the most memorable childhood vacation I ever had, and it had nothing to do with the reasons I went.
Did the toupee survive the Matterhorn? No. Flapping in the breeze there?
I do. I also remember another time we went to a baseball game at Candlestick Park, which is notoriously windy, and I went with him and his dad. And I remember him like walking to, going down the aisle to the seat,
Right.
and the wind's just whipping, and that hair is on point. It's like pulling at the Velcro, and he's like, "All right, kids, I'll be right back. I'm gonna go get a hat."
Yeah, you need that. Oh man.
Anyway, that's what my childhood consisted of.
I love the Scott childhood stories. We went. Now we did have some of those. We're going to visit a relative for. That was the vacation. We went over to. What's worse than going from Alabama to? We went through Mississippi to Mississippi to my dad's sisters one year, and then they moved to a place that wasn't much more of an improvement, Louisiana. But anyway, we finally landed on going down to. Gulf Shores region of Alabama.
Yeah,
it's people don't know this, Chris, but Alabama has beaches too, and they butt up right against Florida's beaches, peninsula. We did that like 6 or 7 summers in a row. It was always a great time, and that was kind of before. Now everything's like overdeveloped there.
Right?
Like, everyone goes to Gulf Shores. It's like the new thing, but. We broke it in. We were the first.
I got to go. I've heard many great things about that area.
Yeah, you got the Floribama right there, Chris.
Yeah, honestly, I was born in Florida, but I've never been to Pensacola. It's where I've been to many areas in Florida, but not there. But when I was a kid, Chris, honestly, we went to see my grandparents in Alabama a lot.
Oh, well, that's a treat.
Yeah,
they
lived near. I mean, it was a small town called. It was an area called Hecota, Alabama, near Sampson, Alabama.
Okay, that's a small town near a slightly bigger small town. Yeah, I know Sampson. Yeah.
I mentioned that to people, and they don't quite get it. But I say it's near Dothan. They say okay.
Yeah,
but
they all know Dothan. Oh yeah, peanut capital of the world.
Wiregrass.
Is it really?
It is. But they no, it was fun. You know, we was in the woods. We rode ATVs. We went fishing. I stayed there during the summer, and it was fun, man.
You got the full Alabama experience.
Yeah.
Lovely.
Yeah.
All right, let's fire it up one last time if we have time for it.
So we got
Randomizer. Is it me?
I think it's you.
Okay,
Yeah.
let's go. And stop.
And what's your go-to dance move?
Oh
no.
Man,
we
which
shouldn't
one,
have done one more
which
question.
One? Yeah. Which one? So many go-tos. I think most of my dance moves, I just try to like replicate things that I see done at the gym, you know? Like, so it's like...
Like squats?
Like tricep press.
Oh, yeah.
Like military press. You know, do some curls. I don't really have anything.
I'm so glad I don't work out at your gym.
Yeah. I don't really have a dance move. I mean, I'm just... fortunately that my dance moves is not what won my wife over, so...
Yeah. Maybe that's why I don't have a wife. My dance moves. I don't really have a go-to, Chris. I used to do this bad one that.
Lawnmower.
Now we've all done the little sprinkler. You know, we've done a little sprinkler. We've done the lawnmower. I like the string dance that Conan O'Brien taught. You know, you got a little string on this hip, a little string on that hip. You cut that string. You cut that string. I don't really have. I'm very,
That's
uncoordinated.
a middle of the circle type of thing.
Very uncoordinated. So I don't really have a go-to dance move. Grab hips, hold on tight. That's what I do.
Oh, hey. Ow.
Yeah, I don't know, Chris. What about you?
Me and dancing well. If you're more likely to see me at the Met Gala that's going on tonight than see me dancing well. I've never been good at it.
We already knew that.
Well, yeah.
We already knew that you couldn't dance. And quite frankly, when this question came up, we knew that none of us had a good answer.
Right.
But if you have to get on the dance floor and you have to strike a move,
right? It's
bust a move.
It's not the Elaine from Seinfeld, but there was one time. Excuse me. There was one time where I had to do the robot on the air. I'm not gonna say where it was, but. And that was fun. I got a kick out of that.
You still have that one in your arsenal? Could you bust it out now?
I can bust that out, yes. Yeah.
Mr. Roboto.
Yeah.
See ya.
All right.
Very good. That was fun. Chris, enjoy your bottle of Old Forester.
I am.
And
I bet I'll do some dancing after a few sips of that.
Yeah, that robot's going to be nice and loose.
Oh, look at that. Who's doing on my joints here?
It's going to be it's going to be drink very well.
Okay.
Yeah. Well.
But who's
that robot spinning the side?
It'll make the time go by faster. I'll tell you that. Yeah.
The time has flown on this here podcast. Yeah. Much thanks to our guests on today's program, a friend of the show, Trevor Sikkema, as well as Jon Alhart from the V Foundation. Much thanks to our in-studio guest. We have our great intern, Irina, here's catching an episode.
She's wrapping up.
Rochelle on the jib. We got Ronnie back on the audio board, and then of course Chris that has pulled double duty now 2 weeks in a row. We're going to have to make sure that he gets a pay raise because of that.
He just got bourbon. He's fine.
For Chris, I'm Scott. Until the next time we are on, there are no off days.